Hey toy collectors, welcome to another super exciting, outrageous toy review. For Christmas, I got the Space Marine Adventures Rise of the Orks, a cooperative heroic defense board game. This is based in the world of Warhammer 40,000. It comes with 5 Terminator miniatures and tokens to represent an endless horde of orcs that you have to defend a bunker from. The models come on individual sprues. You have to cut them out and assemble the figures. They are molded in individual colors of plastic, so that way if you choose not to paint them, they're still easily identifiable as you play the game. We have a Space Wolf, a Salamander, an Ultramarine, a Blood Angel, and an Imperial Fist. I popped the minis off their sprues and assembled them. They are pop-apart minis, but you do have the ability to glue them if you'd like. You get 5 different characters in 5 different colors. Each one of these guys has specific equipment. Here we have a Chain Fist and Heavy Flamer. This is a pretty standard Terminator with a Storm Bolter and Power Fist. It also looks like he has a little Servo Skull Helper. Here we've got a Power Fist and Assault Cannon. Cyclone Missile Launcher. And this guy seems to be the leader of the pack with his Thunder Hammer and Storm Shield. I do really like that the models included both helmets and exposed heads for each one of the figures. I assembled mine based on the images on the box itself, figuring that would make it easier to play with people that aren't as familiar with Warhammer, because they're specific characters and they would match their card art on the little bio cards. But if I were painting these guys up for play in regular Warhammer 40,000, I prefer my Marines to wear helmets because you gotta protect your noggin. I've got Space Marine Adventure, Rise of the Orks all set up here. I have my Terminators in the middle of the board. These are the power reactors the Orks want to destroy, and these are the control panel spaces where they are always moving towards. There are Orc Spawn Points around the board. That's where the Orks come in for each wave. There are supply spots for the Marines to pick up equipment. If they move back to their center point on those green squares in the middle, they can heal. Dark gray squares are walls or pillars. They're basically the terrain of this game. You can't see through them or shoot through them. There's a grit counter at the top here that shows the toughness of my Marines, basically. I have tokens over here that represent the Orks. Each one of these has a different style of Orc on it. The number of Orks picked were based on my difficulty, and I'm playing Novice because it's my first time playing the game, so I'm going with the 5 Orks per wave setup here for difficulty, and I'm just trying it out. And along the bottom of my board, I have the stat cards for each one of the Terminator figures. The last thing I need to set up are the Orks for this wave. There's 5 Orks per wave on Novice, so I picked 5 tokens out of my pile. They're all face down. I roll a dice each time to determine which breach point they show up at. So for the first one here, breach point 1. So I get to flip this over, and it turns out it's an Orc boy, and it goes on the far side of the board. Breach point 3. This is an Orc commando. Spot 2. Another Orc boy. Spot 2 again. Another Orc boy. Since spot 2 is already covered, I get to put him in an adjacent spot. Last Orc for this wave, number 5. We got an Orc boy, and he goes right over there. By the way, the dice rolls turned out. I've got more Orks on this side than this side, so I'm definitely going to have to head that way. Time for the Marine action phase. This is when I get to move the Marines and shoot with the Marines. So on a Terminator's turn, they may move or attack, and they can do that in either order. But it does say here that my Blood Angel Sergeant can make 3 move actions and 3 attack actions in any order on his turn. So I assume I'm doing this right when I move him once, twice, 3 movement actions, and then have him attack. So I'm going to roll my attack die. I got a 2. This Orc's toughness is 3. So I'm below the toughness, so my attack fails. But I can make up to 3 attacks, so I'm going to try it again. 4, so I've destroyed that token. Now, I may have left myself very vulnerable by being out there, but this is my first time playing. Brother Magnus here is the Salamander Terminator with the Heavy Flamer. He can move up to 2. 1, 2. I do have a line of sight to this Orc, but it's not a straight row. and it seems like it wants the heavy flamer to attack in a row. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to attack. This is kind of the challenge of playing a game like this for the first time. I don't see why he couldn't use his flamethrower. But it's not this. It's not the row he's in, so maybe he can't hit that guy. Maybe that's the disadvantage of the flamethrower. So I think his turn's over. Brother Lucian, my Ultramarine, I'm going to move him his 2 squares to the supply depot and pick up a supply card. You get to pick 2 cards and you keep 1. I have shooting drills, which can only be used by my Imperial Fist, and I've got drive them back. So I'm going to keep driving back. This lets me push an orc back to the breach. Next move I've got is Brother Etrus. He's going to move his 2 positions. 1, 2. He's got a clear line of sight of this orc over here. So he's going to do his attack action. He does have a sustained fire special ability. His sustained fire ability allows him to have up to 3 attacks in a turn, but the second and third attack must be on the original orc or an orc within 2 hexes of the original orc. Basically, he can only spray fire. He can't, like, shoot guys in opposite directions. So, we're going to roll his attack dice for the first shot. 2. That's less than the toughness. 2. Oh my goodness, what is going on with this assault cannon? 3. This orc is dead. Time for Brother Stormheart. He has a cyclone missile launcher on his back, and basically, if he shoots something a few hexes away, he's got like a burst or a blast effect to his attack. He's going to move forward 2 hexes. I'm trying to see. It looks like he can see this guy. He is in some cover. So it's going to be a -1 to his attack when I roll it, trying to beat that orc's toughness. And this orc is actually a commando orc, so he's a little bit better. He's got a toughness of 4. So this is his 1 attack for the turn. 2, it fails. I don't kill the orc. Okay, now it's the orc's turn, and they have to move towards reactors and also towards Terminators. The reactor is their first goal, so this orc here can move 3. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, because he's trying to get there. So he can now attack Brother Stormheart. So leaving myself out there is not great. The orcs automatically hit, so these 2 points of damage happen to my Terminator, so I move his marker up 2. This orc can move 2 spaces, so he is automatically in combat there. He's going to do 2 damage to my Terminator, but because this Terminator has a storm shield, it's reduced by 1, so he takes 1 damage from that attack. In the top corner here, I have another orc who's going to move 2 spaces towards a control panel and a Terminator. They are not in combat because they are not base to base. That's the end of this turn. So now it's time to place more orcs who are coming in through the breaches. 1. Got an orc boy. 1. Another orc boy. That corner is getting full. 5. Got a commando. 4. We've got an orc boy. And 3. Got another orc boy. I'm quickly starting to see that if you picked to use a higher difficulty level stage here, that the base would fill up with orcs much quicker, because I did not eliminate the first wave of orcs when the second wave of orcs has arrived. So my sergeant is going to attack this orc. 2. I didn't defeat him. 5. That orc's destroyed. So I'm going to use my 3 movement actions to go 1, 2, 3, back to base here. So I'm going to use my Salamander's 2 moves to go 1, 2, and I'm going to shoot my flamethrower down that row, because I'm not sure how that flamethrower works exactly. But I should be able to hit 5 squares in front of me, so I've got 3 in a row. And this attack treats all orc tokens as a toughness that's 1 lower than what's written on there, to a minimum of 2. So it can't go below 2, apparently. I got a toughness 4 and a toughness 3 there, so One will be a 3 and one will be a 2. So I'll roll for the first guy. 6. He's destroyed. And I'll roll for the next one. 5. He's destroyed. Alright, with my Ultramarine, I'm coming around this bend here. I've got a clear line of sight of this Orc. So I'm going to shoot at him. His toughness is 3. I got a 5. That Orc is destroyed. I do actually have the ability to make a second attack with that figure, but there's no one there for him to hit. Alright, my Imperial Fist, he gets his 2 moves. 1, 2. I'm actually trying to get over there to get that supply depot, but I'm also moving towards the Orc, who I'm going to shoot at. 4, I killed him. Alright, on to my last Space Marine. I'm going to use his movement to put him back to the base, but I'm still going to shoot at this Orc, and it has like a cloud burst blast effect, but it's not going to hit anybody else in this particular scenario. So I'm going to roll my die to see if I can blow up this Orc. 2, I do not. This is a tough Orc. Alright, on to the Orc's turn. This Orc is going to try and destroy this generator here. When a power reactor is attacked, flip it over to the damage side. It is now damaged. Uh-oh. I guess the Orc automatically damages. There's no die roll involved on this part. That's not good. My Terminator takes 2 damage from this Orc. Okay, 2 of my Terminators heal. The next wave of Orcs have been deployed. My Sergeant is going to take a movement this way. A movement this way to pick up a supply token, which means I get 2 cards. I get to pick one to keep. One's for Brother Lucian, one's for Brother Etrus, so he can't use either one of these, which is a shame. So that was his second move. And then his third move will be there to try and protect the control panel. My second Terminator here is the Salamander. He's going to attack that Orc. I need to roll higher than a 3. And all toughnesses are reduced by 1, so I need to get higher than a 2. Alright, he has destroyed that Orc. He does have a movement action of up to 2 spaces. I'm going to back him up 2. So that way he's right there to try and blast guys if they come through that breach again. Alright, my Ultramarine is going to turn around and make one move this direction. And his second move this direction. He still has a great line of sight there with that Orc, so he's going to shoot him. Needs to be higher than a 4. That guy is a pesky Orc. 2. Didn't get him, but I do have a special ability where I get a second attack called Strategic Mind. Both have failed. That Orc, man, that Orc. Alright, my Imperial Fist is going to shoot on his Orc that he's watching there. 2. Fails, but he's got sustained fire. 4. Got him. Then he's going to use his 2 moves to come up here to this space. He gets a card, or 2 cards, I should say. And let's see if he can use either one of these. Target fire. With a careful placed burst of fire, a Terminator can turn the tide of battle. You can use this card after any Terminator misses an attack. Or Master Marksman, which is only for Brother Lucian, so he can't use that one. So we're keeping targeted fire, so if he misses one time, I can have him re-roll somewhere when it's really important. Alright, we've got one more Terminator here. I can move him and have him fire. I'm not really going to get any better vantage point on these Orcs if I move here. In fact, I'm going to have to fight that guy. Line of sight-wise, though, is pretty terrible here. I feel like I can shoot this guy. I can see him. He is in some cover, but his special ability does say that an Orc token that's attacked by Brother Stormheart do not gain any bonuses to their toughness for cover. So the missile launcher can kind of deal with that. So, I'm going to roll my dice. I can only shoot the one guy. I also have my missile barrage. When I attack a target that is 3 or more hexes away from me, He can also attack each orc token next to that token, even if they're not visible. So, 1, 2, 3. He's more than 3 tokens away. I guess I get to hit all 3 of them. That should be good. Let's try this out on our main target here. 1 does not kill him. Try the next guy. 1 does not kill him. And the guy at the breach, 6. He is destroyed. Whew. Time for the orc movement. He moves into attack and does 2 damage to Brother Lucian. This orc is going to have to stop and fight my sergeant, who is going to take 1 damage from him. This orc is going to move his 2 spaces and stop because he can't travel over the other orc. This orc here is going to move 2 spaces, and this orc here is going to move 2 spaces. Time for the next wave to enter the battle. 1, 5, 6, 3, and 3. We've got a crowded corner of the battlefield down here. The game continues on like this. If all of my reactors are damaged, I automatically lose. If I lose 3 Terminators and have to move my grit marker down, I automatically lose. Otherwise, I just have to out-survive the Orcs. It's going pretty well. I'm going to wrap up this game off camera and then give you some thoughts. I know I said I was going to finish the game off camera, but I just wanted to point out in this particular Orc wave, I had some bad rolls and the base is hemorrhaging over here. I've got a ton of Orcs coming in through the breach. So the Orcs have spawned for the last time. So I just got to survive this with my Terminators and or the battle stations here. So my first combat is right here. This automatically happened just by movement. So this Terminator takes 3 damage. Ooh, he's in rough shape. This Orc will move here and damage this reactor. This Orc gets to move 2, which will be an attack. And that's actually going to kill my Terminator here. I think I'm going to play the Drive Him Back card that I have, which sends him back to the starting hex there to save that Terminator from instant death. This Orc is going to make his 2 moves here, so he can attack that Terminator. It's going to do 1 damage because the Storm Shield protects him. And this poor soul over here has a mess on his hands. So this Orc is actually going to move towards the next reactor. This Orc's attacking him. It does 2 damage. This guy's going to probably... Well, he might actually be protected because that guy's body's in the way. So this guy's going to move his 2. This guy's going to move his 2. This guy's going to move his 2. And this guy's going to move his 2. And that's it. Alright, so I checked the rulebook. And even though there are no new Orcs to come onto the battlefield, I have to continue to play until all the Orc tokens are destroyed. My Terminators are running into some real trouble here at the end, as I've got 2 Terminators that died in the previous round. This Orc is making 2 moves towards my Terminator here, and it does 3 damage. That's the problem. The fact that the Orcs automatically hit. He's dead. So I had 2 shield generators left that were undamaged. I have 2 Terminators left. I really do feel like this game would be tough on a harder setting. Maybe I would be paying more attention now that I've played it once how the Orcs move. Be a little bit more aware of watching where I'm leaving my Terminators because I'm just getting beat up. So my Sergeant, who had 3 damage done to him currently, even though he'd healed some, had killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Orcs. My Heavy Flamer Trooper, who was dead, had killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Orcs. My Ultramarine, who was dead, had killed 3 Orcs. My Imperial Fist, who was dead, had killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Orcs. And my Space Wolf, who was near death but made it through, killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 orcs. So some overall thoughts. I had a lot of fun playing this game. I love that it has the one-player option. There were many times where I would have loved to have played a game of Warhammer with my buddies, but people were busy, and so this is kind of like an option that you could play this scenario by yourself. It definitely reminds me of games like Space Hulk, where you've got a small team and you're trying to survive the endless swarm. The fact that they show some orc models on the side of the box makes me really kind of want to play it with orc miniatures. It doesn't come with any, but I think it would be great to have orc models on the board moving around instead of just the tokens. Especially for like the characters, if you play the more advanced games and you start getting war bosses and warp heads and stuff, I think that could be a ton of fun to be able to play it that way. Overall, I think it's a fun game. I'm really looking forward to painting the miniatures, and I'll probably show them off here at some point if you guys want to see them. I'm going to paint them as close to, the style that they're supposed to be. I'm going to paint them based on the chapters, because I think it makes it easier to identify the figures when you play the game, especially with people that don't know Warhammer that well. Having them be, the blue one and the green one and stuff is definitely easier than if you painted them all one chapter and you just had to identify them based on weapons and things like that. So I did order some paints to paint a Salamander and an Imperial Fist, because I just don't really stock those colors because I don't have an army like that. This was a cool game to try out, and I'm looking forward to playing it with some other people in the near future. In the comments down below, let me know if you've played this game before. I really would love for Games Workshop to release some more Warhammer-esque board games. They're a little bit more accessible than the massive Warhammer 40,000 game where you need hundreds of dollars worth of miniatures to play and tons of time to get everybody painted and glued together. Thanks for watching this super exciting, outrageous tour review. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos.